Hi, I'm Claire and welcome back to my allotment journey. So today I'm here at the allotment and I'm going to be putting in some pond plants. I'm going to be doing lots of weeding because there's so many weeds coming through at this time of year. And I'm going to be planting some more carrots because they've not germinated yet, and just generally just having a check up on how things are going. So stay tuned to find out what I get up to today. After a bit of weeding, you can now see my first early potatoes starting to sprout. So these aren't the ones that I planted last week. I planted these about 3-4 weeks ago maybe now. So the first earlies, and as the name suggests, you can plant them earlier than the main crop. They do take a little while to start popping through, but now I can start to see them sprouting. It's really exciting. garden. Just thought I'd show you a little bit about what happens behind the scenes. So I'll show you the seeds that I'm growing, both in my house and also in the greenhouse, and what stage they're at and what happens before they're ready to actually go out and be planted at the allotment. So here we are in my house. Now I'm really lucky that I've got this space in my kitchen diner that I can grow all my seeds. So it's a south-facing garden, so it gets a lot of sunlight, and also we've got quite a bit of glass here, so it is like a mini heated greenhouse really. So let's have a look at what we've got at the moment. These are the runner beans. So they're getting really tall at the moment, so they're going to have to go out pretty soon. I grew them in toilet roll holders. So we can see here, the roots are just starting to come out. So, but they're nice, strong, healthy, so they'll be ready to go out really soon. Then I've got the peppers. So these here are the peppers. So they need quite a bit more growing and to stay indoors. Normally I keep those in a greenhouse all year, to be fair, all summer. These are my cherry tomatoes. They're going to need to be potted on pretty quickly, but again, they're going to be kept inside for quite a while, although eventually I will plant the tomatoes out. These here are sprouts. So I started the sprouts quite early. They're doing okay, but again, they've still got a little bit more growing to do. These are my plum tomatoes. So we can see the type they are there. I potted these on. So I started them off in the compostable seed trays like these. And then about a week or so ago, I've potted them into a bigger pot. So they're doing fine. They're doing absolutely fine, but they've still got quite a bit of growing to do. But that's fine because, again, the tomatoes won't be ready to be planted out for quite a while. So if we move down, what we've got here, this is a different type of runner bean. These are yin yang beans. Now I planted, what's that, 1, 2, 3, 4, so 10. Only 3 have germinated, so I have put some more seeds in, but only maybe less than a week ago, so I'm still waiting on those. Then if we go down a little bit more, we've got some cucumber here. So I've got 5 cucumbers at the moment. I normally keep those in the greenhouse as well, because they do like quite a lot of heat, so they're fine. They've got a bit to go. Then at the back here, we've got a pumpkin. So my pumpkin and my squashes are doing really well at the moment. A little too well for the time of year, so possibly I started them a little too early, but there you go. Then here we've got the broccoli. So that hopefully should be going out very soon. If you've seen the early videos, you'll see that the soil's warming up. It's under a clutch right now, so I will plant those out with some slug protection, but look for that in a future video. Then I've got some flowers down here. That's my cosmos, which you can see is already starting to flower. That could be ready very soon. And then here, I need to pan out for this, got some really tall sunflowers. So I've planted 1 or 2 of my sunflowers out in the garden and at the allotment, and so far so good. They seem fine, so those ones can probably go out pretty soon. And then if we move over here, we've got the sweet corn. So again, I've planted it in little modular seed trays, and then I've potted it on. Sweet corn, again, it's a while off going out, so that's fine. That can just sit there happily. And then I've got my, let me just check. Here is my courgette, or one of my 2 courgettes. Now I don't need a lot of courgette, because you'll know if you've grown courgette before, you get a lot of plants from, you get a lot of fruit, sorry, from just 1 plant. So 2 courgettes is more than enough for me and my family. Again, it's looking quite big, so I'll pot that on, maybe even today, but keep that inside for now. Could potentially go in the unheated greenhouse. I'm going to keep an eye on that. Then I've got a cucumber that's going really big at the moment. So if we look here, I've had to put the cucumber on a stake right now because it's really big. But again, it's still too cold in the greenhouse for it, because the greenhouse is still getting down to single figures overnight. And then I've got more pumpkin over here, which is going crazy. So that's it for everything that's growing inside. Now let's look in the greenhouse. In the greenhouse, I've got my beetroot. So still growing in clumps. So that'll be planted straight out like that very soon, hopefully. Then we've got peas. The peas are looking great at the moment. Yeah, peas are looking good, so they should be able to go out soon. Then we've got some cornflowers. I love wildflowers, so I've grown cornflowers, and then poppies at the back here. So they can be sown straight into the ground, but I wanted to start them off early just to be on the safe side. Then we've got some more flowers. These are marigolds. These are really good for just dotting around the vegetable plants, particularly the tomatoes. They go well with tomatoes. Then over here we've got our cauliflower. It's looking good. Hopefully that should be going out soon. And then I have some sweet peas back there, some nice sweet pea flowers. They grow quite tall, so I'll put those in like a teepee structure. Again, mix it in with the veg. And then right here at the front is some cabbage, so that's going quite well as well. I'm now going to repot my courgettes, so I'm going to give them a quick water first. Like that. And then I've got a big pot here ready, and it's already just over half filled with soil. So let's take that out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to gently squeeze it out like that, just gently. And you can see it's become quite pot bound there. So just gently tease out the roots so they'll grow out nicely, and then I'm just going to pop that in there like that. And then I've got some more soil here that I'm going to fill up. Okay, so there we've got it. There is our courgette now, all nicely in its bigger pot with lots of room still to grow. Now here's my 2 courgette plants all potted up in the greenhouse. I'm going to leave them in the greenhouse because I think it'll be warm enough in here now. And I've made sure I've labelled them as well so I don't get confused, because they do look very much like the pumpkins at this stage. So this is me getting some of my homegrown compost. So this is the compost bin I have at home, and I put all the kitchen scraps in and any dead plants. So I've been doing that all over winter, and it's been compacting down. Put eggshells in as well, anything that's compostable. And the compost is ready at the very bottom now, so I'm just putting it into a sieve, and then I'm just making sure that any large bits that are still there that haven't fully composted stay in the sieve, and then the composted soil just goes down to the bottom, so then I can use that in my potting on. And here it is, the soil that I'm left. What I can do is I can just pop that in like that, and then just put the soil around it. So let's do that. So tomatoes are one of my favourite things to grow. So I always grow way too many. But this year I do need more because obviously I've got the allotment. But there's just something about the taste of a homegrown tomato. Once you've tasted it, it's quite hard to then enjoy the shop bought ones after that. They just are so tasteless. And I eat a lot of tomatoes with practically every meal. So yeah, lots of tomatoes for me. So there you go. It is like that. So it's still really, really tiny, but it'll soon start to grow a lot better now. It's got a bigger pot. Let's do the next one. Those in one seedling. I tried to thin them out as much as I could. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to separate that. Oops. So that's come out there. So we just need to be really, really careful here, because obviously delicate stage at the moment. You might have a day or two where it looks a bit limp because it's just getting really ready for it, or just getting used to its new place. But then after that, it should grow big and strong. Okay. I do try and use gloves as much as possible, but then when I'm doing fiddly jobs like this, it's just easier to not use the gloves, to be honest. So, very mucky hands and mucky fingernails, but it's worth it. There we go. And then another one, let's see. So my aim this year was to have 40 tomato plants, because like I said, I do eat a lot of tomato. At the moment, I'd have to double check how many we've got here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So there's about 19 there. And I've got at least the same again for my plum tomatoes, which I've already potted on. So I am getting close to the 40. Whether I've got the room to put them all out is another matter. So I'm hoping these will grow much quicker now. They're in these pots. So every year with my tomatoes, I've been growing them for so many years now, but every year I always worry. I always worry that they're not going to take. One year, early on, I ended up buying some plug plants because I was worried mine weren't going to take, but then every year they do, and every year I have more than I need, and I end up having to get rid of some, like giving them to family and friends. And here they are, all potted up. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, don't forget to like and subscribe, and stay tuned